Topic under discussion right now is a square of a number. Let's start. The very first thing that comes in your mind once I say the word square is nothing but a 2D shape, because from a very early classes a student is told in maths about a square that it's a four-sided closed figure having all four sides equal, means it's both the dimensions are of equal measure, and the area for calculating is length into length. Or square of a number. Once we're going to define this, how we're going to say? Square numbers are called the square numbers because you can make a square out of that number of smaller squares. What is this I'm talking about? Let's see. For example, I can make a large square out of 9 small squares like this. The number was 9. I have taken 9 small squares and I have formed it in such a way that ultimately I got a square. This means that 9 is a squared number. But question arises, is every number can be arranged in this way? Let's go for 10. What if I have 10 small squares? Can I make it a larger square out of 10 small squares? No. No matter how you try to arrange it, the arrangement is never going to be a larger square. So we can say square numbers are those numbers which can be arranged in a square shaped. For example, you have 1, 4, 9 and 16. If you have small 16 squares, you can arrange them in such a way that you're going to get a bigger square ultimately. So all these numbers like 4, 1, 4, 9, 16 are your square numbers. Now let's recap. I hope all of you remember this very well, that a repeated multiplication is written in a certain way, and that way is an index notation. So if I ask you to write a number, for example 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 into 2, what is happening over here? A repeated multiplication, and that is repeated multiplication is of 2. So how many times 2 is multiplied? 5 times. So once I'm going to express it in this way, this 2, the number which was being multiplied, is known as the base, and the number of times it is multiplied is known as index or power or exponent. So after all this discussion, I can say that the perfect squares are those numbers which you get after multiplying the number with itself. You can say that a 0 square means multiply 0 with itself, 1 square means multiply 1 with itself, and 2 square means multiply 2 with itself. So the resultant, once you do this multiplication, are basically your perfect square. Here we have 0, 1, 4, 9, etc. and so on. There is some hint for us to remember that perfect square never ends with 2, 3, 7 and 8. If I give you a number and the number is ending in 2, 3, 7 and 8, definitely that number is never going to be a perfect square. Rest, if the ending number is 1, 4, 6, 0 and 5, then the condition goes for may or may not be. Sometimes the number will be a perfect square and sometimes it's not going to be a perfect square. There are certain properties of perfect square that one should know. The very first property is the negative number square is always positive. For example, if I have -1 and I want to take the square of it, what I'm going to do, I'm going to multiply -1 with itself. Once I'm going to do it, my resultant is +1. Similarly, any other negative number, -2 or -3, the resultant is +4 and +9, which means that the square of every negative number is always a positive number. Moreover, square of an odd number will always be an odd number, square of an even number will always be an even number, and the square of proper fraction is always less than itself, and the square of proper decimal is always less than itself. So I hope so that the basic concept about square, a perfect square, is clear to all of you. Thank you.